everyone, welcome to the Dumbass Podcast. I am Winter.
I am Zach Goldpickman.
And I am Glitchmaster FaZe.
And what the shit? All three of us are back and the audio sounds great. What the hell? It's because we're all in the same place.
We dug up Glitchmaster FaZe's ghost from the Death of Podcast, and then somehow we're all in the same damn room.
Yes.
And today, that means we're going to be talking about the supernatural.
It's great to be back, guys.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a while.
Little memo, this is probably going to be the only time we're going to be doing the podcast now is when we're all in the same place.
To the 1.5 of you watching, I'm sure. I'm sure it won't be that big of a deal, because podcasts sometimes are kind of spaced out anyways. Nothing is changing other than the fact that now it'll be probably a little more spaced out, but not too much.
Yeah, but we're going to be doing the supernatural.
Yeah.
Paranormal.
All things spooky.
So, where do we begin with?
Well, I know personally that I have a few true ghost stories that I could perhaps tell to get spookified. Do you guys have any ghost stories? Or because I got enough for everyone.
I've never encountered a ghost personally.
Me neither.
Or at least maybe that's just what I want you to believe. But
But I have quite a decent bit of ones that range from terrifying to stupid.
does the one where you heard the hay in the middle of the woods count?
Sure.
Because
I don't know what that was, so sure.
you were like out playing hide and seek.
Well, I might as well tell that one first then.
You were out playing hide and seek with your buddy.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I can't forget. That's the bad part. I guess I'll go and start with that one because it's all things paranormal, and I have no idea what the fuck it was, so it could literally be anything. Would you like an apple drink?
Sure.
It'll make you shit your pants.
I don't have much.
Oh, I love these things.
Sorry, everyone. Drink break for 5 seconds.
This podcast is totally not sponsored by Snapple.
Ooh.
Unless it is.
Honeybees navigate by using the sun as a compass.
Oh yeah, everyone read their facts. Mine says, there are more chicken than people in the world.
Brain waves can power an electric train.
These messages were brought to you by Snapple.
Oh, that's nice.
But I suppose I should tell some of my... I guess that's probably what this episode will be, because I have quite a few.
Yeah.
Let me tell the first one. And it involves my worst phobia, which is anything that mimics a human voice. Now, I don't give a shit if anyone here listening doesn't believe me, because you didn't go through it. So fuck yourself. Anyways, let's take you back to, I'm 19 now, for however fucking long ago it was. It was when I was a lot younger, and me and a group of friends were playing hide and seek in the woods, off to a fantastic start. That was when we were really younger. We had just finished a lightsaber and Nerf battle, so you know that shit was awesome. It was getting a lot darker, so one of my friends was like, "Hey, why don't we play hide and seek?" And of course, all of us being dumbass little kids were like, "Yeah, sure." Because he had a large, like, wooded section near his house. His family were pretty popular, so they... not popular, goddamn. They were pretty wealthy, and they had, like, a lot of cameras, like, around their house to make sure nothing went wrong, and, like, so there was none in the woods, though. Which, for this story, might be better or worse, I don't know. We were playing hide and seek in the woods, and I have always been kind of terrified of the dark, because, well, it's not what the dark is, it's what's in the dark that you guys have to worry about.
Yeah, obviously.
But, so, you all play hide and seek probably, honestly, a few hours. And one of the times I was hiding, it was when it was, like, really late. It was around, like, I want to say, like, 2 or 3 in the morning, so it could have very well been 3 a.m. when it happened.
Ooh.
I know, cliche here, but I think it was more like 2 o'clock in the morning. Either way... So, basically, I was hiding. I got, like, really tired of hiding. And I heard someone call me. Me, like, not wanting to give away my position, I stood still, but then it kept on calling me. It's like, but it was a voice I didn't recognize at first, but then I heard one of my friends call me, right? And here's where the shit your pants comes in. I go, there was nothing. So I start to get kind of freaked out, and I'm like, guys, stop messing with me. Let me tell you, if something like that happened nowadays, there wouldn't have been guys messing with me. There wouldn't have even been in the woods. I would have just said, fuck no, you all are dumbasses, and I'm not going in the woods at night with you guys. But anyways, I started to get really scared, and I like kind of heard some stuff in the bushes. So I guess my child brain was like, "Yeah, that's kind of the point where I go back inside." Started to get lost, but luckily I saw the porch light, gone in, and everyone was apparently already inside, because the parents were about to call the police because they didn't know where I was. And to which I said, like, I thought you guys were calling me from inside the woods. I thought we were still playing hide and seek. And they're like, no, we have the security camera. Everyone was in, like, 30 minutes ago. So, who the fuck... And I heard one of my friends calling me. And they all, like seemed very, like, legitimately concerned. I still talk to some of them this day, and they still swear none of them were messing with me. So...
Yeah.
I could have died that night.
I remember you mentioning that, like, I thought, like, you heard it, and then, like, you just booked it.
Yeah.
Like, full sprint.
Well, when I sprinted it, it's because I heard it closer, and there was no one around me. So I'm like, yeah, fuck that. But I guess that kind of spawned my fear of the term mimic. Because that obviously wasn't my friend. I didn't even know what the voice was at first. It was probably a damn skinwalker. But that's the first story I have. A few of these come from my parents, but I also have another one that's my own. I'll tell the one that's my own first, but you guys have any questions about that first story, perhaps?
Not really. But, you know, speaking of ghost stories, we mentioned this one before, because I think we also had a thing where we talked about ghosts before as well, but since this is like the main episode for it, I don't mind repeating it.
Yeah.
It's a story of, it's the investigation by a man who calls himself Dark Ghost.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So, Dark Ghost went to investigate a building. Now, you may be wondering why he was investigating the building. And, well, the reason why is because someone freaking, like, fainted and died from having a heart attack trying to get out of the house after spending... And, like his grandparents lived there or something, and then they just passed away. So the dude spent, like, a night in there trying to, like, see what was going on. But then they found him, like, in the morning, he, like, busted out, freaking full of fear, died of a heart attack, fainted on the sidewalk.
So, and that man got so scared of something that it killed him.
Yeah, and then Dark Ghost was like, yeah, I'm gonna investigate this. And then all he really, like, he found, like, a lot of creepy stuff in there. But, like... See, what makes this different from, like, any other investigation where people could have gone out, maybe set it up, and then recorded it, them going throughout the house.
Yeah.
What makes this different is that a dude literally died.
Yeah. So...
They wouldn't kill someone for views.
Kinda not much of a joke. It's pretty fucking terrifying. So, I think it's pretty obvious that ghosts do in fact exist, whether or not people want to admit it. And that's fine, people can be skeptical or not. But, like, someone really died there.
The man died. And, like, by doing the autopsy, they proved it was a heart attack. They were like... However they do it, they proved it was a heart attack that killed him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he kind of just bam, dead in the woods. Not in the woods, but may as well have been. He was just plopped right down on the sidewalk in front of his old grandparents' house. Heart attack, dead. So they investigated, and what do you know, paranormal level shit was in there.
Oh yeah, Nate just pulled up. That's another thing like worth mentioning. Like all the like underground shit where like people see stuff,
Or like, or dare I say, I'm gonna get real soft with y'all for a moment. Cryptids.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is that some of these like supposed creature spottings or ghost sightings, they're sometimes false.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like for example,
Here's the thing. Here's the mistake people make. They see like one false ghost video and then every ghost video is fake. No, some are fake, yes, but there are legitimate encounters that people are like experiencing.
Yeah. Would you guys? I don't know. I know I've told you a few of them. Do you guys want to hear the other one that I personally have experienced?
Sure.
And then I got some others that I have too. But what I have, so basically, my grandmother used to live in this very like old house. She doesn't live there anymore. And I would like frequently like spend the night there. Well, actually, I kind of have. Well, no, it's not. Well, they basically took place one night, and then one happened, and then the next night another one happened. But they might have as well been in the same night. She had a really like. In this house as well, it had its own little cemetery out back. So you kind of would expect some freak shit to happen. But also like it was just a really like creepy old house. Like I remember specifically she has like one room there that was like all like kind of like old like Chinese like relics and stuff. It had like a bunch of like creepy dolls in it and everything like. I still found that room kind of creepy to this day, even though she doesn't really have it anymore. She kind of does in her like new house, but like the whole house just gave you a really like unsettling vibe. And also, apparently, that house itself has had numerous things happen in it because my dad had one from when he was younger in that one. But the one I had was. I always hated the basement. It wasn't really that creepy of a basement because it was kind of half was like a finished basement and the half was like where the laundry room was. It was a little more like, just kind of like the storage stuff. So the basement itself wasn't that creepy. What was creepy was like the steps, because the steps were like the steps that there was nothing behind them. So I always was afraid something was going to grab my ankle through it. And also, just the door itself was kind of creepy. I remember one morning, because I would usually, like, wake up at, like... Because she didn't get up until, like, 10 or 11 in the morning. I'd usually, like, wake up, go downstairs, and watch TV. Now, I remember distinctly going downstairs to get a drink. The basement door was open. And now, that was already creepy enough for me, but like I could have swore I heard someone down there. And considering she lived alone, well, she had like a cat and a dog, but like the cat and dog were upstairs in her room with her. So I was like, I must have really good like instincts as like a young kid, because I remember distinctly being like, fuck no, I'm not going down there. It scared the shit out of me because it was like, who opened that? And I remember shutting it, going back to bed, but then I remember going back down like more like reasonably in the morning. It was like a really, really foggy like morning. The basement door was open again, and she was still asleep. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna maybe just like maybe go out on the porch and get my bearings or something. It was a really foggy morning. It was like dew on the ground and everything. And there was someone standing by the cemetery in the backyard. I was like, huh, that's strange. Who the fuck is that? I'm pretty sure I didn't say that. I'm pretty sure I was damn near shitting my pants at the time. Still gives me goosebumps when I talk about it. But there was someone standing back there. Seemed to be in a very old, like, white dress. I'm like, huh, that's strange. I looked out the window. I very distinctly remember it turning back to me, and have you ever seen the movie The Ring?
No, I haven't seen it.
Hmm.
I do know the premise of it.
Do you know, like, the famous image of the girl with, like, her mouth, like, really, like, wide open?
Not really.
Well, either way, that's what that person's mouth looked like.
Dang.
Hold on, I can even pull it up here real quick. But I remember being so terrified that I just started screaming. My grandmother came downstairs, like, freaking out to make sure I was okay, and when I looked back, it was gone. So, that pretty much scarred me for life. I still think about that because apparently her mother died in that house. Basically this.
Oh, jeez.
What that looked like. But, yeah, that house was fucking terrifying. You guys have any questions about that one?
Not really.
No.
Not really. I just, I sent a message to one of my buddies asking him if, like, he has any kind of stories.
Well, a lot of stories I also have are Ouija Board related. Guys, don't play with Ouija Boards. Don't be a dumbass.
Hey, I have another idea for a story you could tell.
What is it?
The man you saw in the lake. It's
I'm trying to remember.
because, like, you saw, like, someone coming out of the water, and then you got other people to look, and they didn't see him.
Oh, yeah. Was that the one I told you that was by that, like, Devil's Backbone is the name of it? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's where it was. Okay. This one's kind of a short one, but it still kind of fucks with me today. Sorry, I had to think for a minute.
Alright.
So basically there's this place kind of where we live, semi near it, called Devil's Backbone. It's like a really windy road. There's like a park near it, and there's like a lake. We'll go fishing a lot. I remember going there with my friend, and while we were driving there, I could have sworn I saw someone kind of like standing in the middle of the lake. And I was like, that's a bit odd. And this was like maybe a year or two after the previous story. Or probably a little more than that. I was about like 9 or 10 when this one I'm telling now happened. Either way, I was like, that's kind of weird. Kind of shaked it off. Maybe I guess I kind of thought to myself, maybe just someone's trying to get a better fishing spot or something. I don't know. The day seemed to go pretty normal throughout that, but then I remember going on a walk with my friend. We were walking around, and I remember seeing it again, but this time there was someone coming out of the water. Like, think of, if y'all ever seen the episode of Scooby-Doo with the diver, the green glowing diver, Captain Cutler, where he's coming out of the water. It looked a lot like that, just the guy didn't look like that. Just him coming out of the water reminded me of that, like, thinking about it now. I can't really remember him having any distinct features to him. It's just like, he didn't look like he was alive. He was very, very pale, I remember that much. Like, was like covered in like mud. I think he had some kind of a net on his leg. But I was like saying with her, like, the fuck is that? And he didn't see anything. So of course I thought he was fucking with me, because, you know, that's what kids kind of do. They are dicks to each other. But he seemed to be like, there's nothing there. So damn near thought I was losing my mind. I made him, because he had a phone at the time and I did not. I made him call his parents because I'm like, I want to go home. And they're like, as I'm still seeing him, they don't see anything. And his parents were kind of like, didn't believe in shit like that, so they wouldn't lie about that. And they generally didn't see it, and I was still seeing it, and I'm like, okay, I guess I see dead people now. Because, that's about all there is to that one, to be honest. But it's just like,
Either that or you're schizophrenic, then.
I'm not schizophrenic. I hope. But
That's a more consistent thing.
yeah, I haven't had something like that watch. Now I'm gonna fucking have one happen again soon. But those are all of mine that I have. My mom tells me one. She has two, and one of them's pretty short. But let me tell you one of them. They're both an old job she had. There was one place she used to work at, which was like, it was like this, like, kind of like kid store, but like it had this like really huge basement, like where they would like store like crates and stuff. And it was like always this like, there was like so much space and none of it barely used. It was a really old building, so of course, no red flag there. Of course, it was like, but she told me, because like she had to going down there and she had to go grab something, and one of her colleagues was calling her from down there and needed help, and she was about to go down there, and then her colleague comes around the corner being like, "What are you doing?" The same her voice she heard. And that's kind of all I have of that one particular story, but I'm like, that's pretty fucking terrifying.
Yeah, hospitals are a strange place.
Well, this one wasn't at a hospital. This was like an old, like, kids' toy store.
Yeah.
The next one isn't really a hospital per se either.
But is it closer to one? Like
It's kind of like, it was like an all girls thing. It's like, you'll know what I'm talking about. Think of it as Cedar Ridge, but it's just all girls instead of all guys. There were 3 different buildings. It was like, to fill you guys in, it was kind of like for young girls that kind of were not quite, how do I say this without being offensive? They were kind of...
They had diagnosed mental disabilities.
And a lot of them were very not safe, and it was like an alternative to them going to jail. But the story I'm about to tell was there's 2 in this one. I'll tell the short one first. In the big building, this one is about to get real Scooby-Doo on y'all, because there's a really old painting, and usually it's only like 1 or 2 people working in this building at once, because it's just kind of like more of an office one. No one actually like lives in there. And the power had gone out one night, and it was just my mom working there. There's this like really creepy painting. Like, they don't get rid of it because apparently they're like not allowed to, because I don't know, for one reason or another. So already a bit suspicious there. But it's like, most people find it creepy. She walks by because she has to go grab something for the office building. She comes back, the painting's turned upside down. So immediately, that's a bit of a red flag there. Puts it back on the wall. I remember saying she tried to not think anything supernatural about it. And then when she had to go put the thing back, the painting was nowhere to be found. So she immediately clocked out early that night. Smart, yeah, smart. But the second one is a bit more, like, I'd say, like, very obvious, like, harmful entity. You guys know about, like, spirit orbs and shit, right?
Yeah.
So, like, obviously they have, like, cameras throughout the hall. And it's not just, like, my mom who always, like, would see shit, but she saw, like, the worst of it. Because there's, like, one night she swears she saw, like, shadows going down the halls from, like, because there's an office in the center of, like, everything. Kind of like, I guess, like a Five Nights at Freddy's situation would be. There's not cameras in the, like, girls' room, because that's, like, kind of an invasion of privacy, but they would, like, depending on, like, what they're in there for, if they were on, like, a suicide watch, someone would always have to, like, have the door open and then be out there. Now, one time when she went to go, like, check in on everyone, in one of the rooms, it was one of the rooms she hated the most because it always gave her an off feeling. In one of the rooms, one of the girls was laying in bed, and there was, like, this orb type thing, but it had very obvious hands and arms, and was about to choke this girl sleeping, but must have saw my mom and then immediately disappeared. my mom apparently fainted and had to go to the hospital. Maybe it's just the white in me, but I won't fucking kick your ass. I wouldn't. I would put on a tough act, but I would shit my pants if I saw that.
Wow.
But that was that one. The last ones I have to tell, well, it's kind of just one big one. It's Ouija board related. Don't ever fucking play with Ouija boards, everyone. I've done it. It's not something you should fuck around with. Because it's not really a joke. My dad, when he was a kid, I'm pretty sure it was in the same house as, because my grandmother, because that's his mom, like the one I was telling you about, the door, and then the ring girl in the cemetery, same house, when they were kids. Now, apparently, him and a group of his friends, when they were younger, I think around kind of like our age, is when it would be, were playing with the Ouija board. And this is a case where someone died. Now, whether it can be connected to that is up for debate, but either way. So, they were playing with the Ouija board. A bunch of shit happened, but the things worth mentioning the most is when it would spell out one of their friends' name that wasn't actually there that day because they couldn't come. It spelled out their name, and then apparently 3 weeks later, they died of a heart attack. Kind of mysteriously, they didn't have heart problems. So that's kind of, ugh. And then another thing that happened in the same night is like, the power went off, so they stupidly kept using the Ouija board. Apparently went off while they were playing it. It spilled out toilet. The toilet lid upstairs slammed down super hard, and they were the only ones home. They were all in the room when it happened, and then the Ouija board just starts repeatedly spelling out H-E, H-E, therefore laughing at them. So yeah, that's like what I got. Them's the stories I got for y'all.
Wow.
Go scare the shit out of me.
Alright, well, I don't have many of my own. I'm gonna...
Something we could bring up is like, you know, there's the like true stuff with like the Annabelle doll, other shit like that. We could bring up some stuff similar to that.
Have you ever heard of Robert the dog?
Tell him about it. I vaguely do.
Alright, well, my buddy unfortunately does not have any sort of story to tell. I kind of figured that'd be the case. But what I can do is I can tell the stories to some of the other people out there. Because I'm very connected in the stories people have to tell. So, one of them was this guy worked at like this place, not it was like a food place. This story is probably kind of floated around more than some, but so people might know where I'm going with this. But this dude worked at like this store place, and they had a freezer. Now at 9:02 a.m., very odd time, I know, but that's how you know no one just came up with this on the spot. At 9:02 a.m., the second it clicked over, like minutes before, they would keep hearing banging from the other side of the freezer, and they couldn't get it to open. But the moment it hit 9:02, it shot open. And initially, management was like, okay, it's a faulty door. Let's replace it. Which, you know, obviously, you know, that's a reasonable thing. That's a reasonable thing to assume. So, needless to say, they replaced the door. But then, lo and behold, even after replacing the door, it still happened. And after the dude told, and here's another thing, after the dude told this story to everyone, you know, obviously there were some believers and some sticklers, but, you know, he told the story, and then someone replied to his story saying she now worked at the same place he used to be, because he had since quit the job, understandably.
Smart.
But she commented him saying, like, she now works at the place that was, like the exact location, the exact building, and she said the door slamming thing still happened.
Oh, fantastic.
So it didn't stop.
Well, that's terrifying.
That one's a bit more well known. I have another story about a guy who worked at a place. I don't know much about the location he was at. I don't know much about the place he was at, but I know one of the things they had was like a freezer area. There was also a freezer area there. Now, where he was kind of odd, because connected to this place was like this little like living space that an old lady used to be in, and she died. So he was kind of like hanging out around that area while like guarding the rest of the store, and he heard a thud coming from like the freezer area, and he specified that there was no way for anything in there to have like fallen off of something or fallen over, because they were like very careful about preventing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he said it shouldn't have been something that fell over. Initially he dismissed it as something he merely heard, but then he heard it again later. So what he did was he grabbed his keys, left the building, he left the building, opened it, like he went outside, then locked it behind him so that if there was someone in there, well, now they're stuck in there. And then he went out to the car for like his car in the parking lot for like the rest of his shift, and I think he had like authorities search the place, and you know they didn't find anything.
Yeah.
So there's another story. I'm not really sure how to explain this one, but this guy was just like recording him doing his job of just like checking theaters to make sure, you know, homeless people behind the screens and stuff, make sure that's not happening. He was recording himself like around and like doing around. He was like and like briefing on the job, like what he was doing. But then he looked up in the projection window where people like have the files for the movies and they like switch it out, start playing it. He looked up in the projection window. There was a shadow up there.
Oh, that one.
So he busted up there. He went up there, looked down to where he was at, didn't see anything. He looked over at more machinery off to the side and saw it peeking behind. And then for like a split second he bolted, and then the video kind of just ended. So it's like, you know, obviously, you know, with such an abrupt ending, you know, maybe a little shaky on the clarity of the, you know, reliability on that one.
Yeah.
But still, it was pretty good. So there's one that's a bit more arguable. But you want to talk crazy stories? Let's talk about, because like we're talking about the supernatural, let's talk about some of the experts in the supernatural hunting field. Let's talk about Saudi Arabian ghost hunters.
Oh, jeez.
Everyone knows about these people. You know, Saudi Arabia, like, I have nothing against Saudi Arabia, just to be clear for all you at home. I have nothing against these people. But, like, what makes them so different is that not only do a lot of them regularly do this kind of thing, where they go somewhere in search for spirits, it's, like, places with, like, spooky, like, not only are their encounters generally more intense than videos supposedly taken in the US, which is, first off, kind of weird, actually.
Yeah.
But not only are their encounters more intense, but typically they live stream them instead of just record them. So that means that, you know, if it was people off camera, like making some effects with like some spooky things, like naturally if that's what they were doing, chances are they would have had a mishap and would have been caught.
Basically, some of it would be a lot harder to fake.
Yeah, so it's hard to fake live streams, and like Saudi Arabian ghost hunters typically live stream their expeditions, and typically if they don't, they still encounter like way more intense stuff. Like everyone probably knows about the trick where I don't remember who exactly it was. I'm gonna say Xiao Long because he's the name I remember, but obviously I could be very wrong because I don't know all these people's names by heart. So apologies if I'm wrong. But everyone has probably seen the clip where the Saudi Arabian ghost hunter guy is like, he's like looking in a mirror, flicking the light behind him and forward.
Yeah.
And then when he flicks the light behind him, there's like very obviously someone right over his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then he like freaks out, turns around, and there's no one there. And that video actually blew up that guy's channel, so good for him.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I also have another interesting story from the community.
Okay.
Since I'm basically the community guy, since none of us really have any stories, I'm guessing.
I've told all the ones I know.
Yeah, so another story I have of the community is this dude bought a house. The landlord hadn't heard from the previous renter
Yeah.
for a while, and it's like, I'm guessing he was one of the better landlords because after not hearing him for a while, he went to go check on him, and I think he's like a very. It's like a very old man. I think his name might have been Tito, or maybe that was the name of the guy that Xiaolong or whoever that was encountered over his shoulder. But the name Tito is just clicking in my brain. But basically, the old man who was renting that property before, he was passed away. So obviously, he called proper people who can take care of that situation. And once they, cleaned up the place again, he was like, okay, I'll just put it up for rent again.
Yeah.
And someone actually got the house, and he was live streaming himself, like doing a little tour of the place. But when he passed by his bed, now it should be noted that the old man was found in his bed, dead from natural causes, of course.
So they say.
But the dude was live streaming him touring the place that he was renting. So he was renting the place now and he was doing a live stream tour. He passed by his bed and there was just like a figure wrapped in a black sheet laying
that's right.
on the bed, and like he passed by it not noticing it at all. His chat was like, "Wait, go back. What was that?" And then when he goes back, it's not there.
So that would definitely be a lot harder to do on a live stream.
So yeah, people will try their hearts out to like prove the craft, which I get it. Like you see footage all the time, and you could agree that some's real, some's not, or you could be one of the boneheads who goes all or nothing. But
true.
But like, you could be looking one way or the other. Like, you could be looking at clips, debunking whether they're real or fake, and you could be like doing all that. But it's like people will try their hearts out, and it's like, regardless of how many videos show up, it's really hard to like theoretically, scientifically prove that spirits are a thing that exists and inhabit, regardless of how much people go on the internet and just post up videos.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, obviously you can't really dismiss them as a whole either. So it's like whether they're real or not, scientifically wise, that's pretty much an unsolvable case. But you see videos all the time, it's like some cases are basically like, obviously there are some people that are just like, this is obviously fake, man, but like...
Yeah. But some are definitely a lot harder to...
say.
Yeah.
It's like for example, the guy who literally died. It's like, regardless of what you think, the dude is dead.
Yeah. It's definitely terrifying.
You know what, let's talk about another very supernatural, because this is another one that people probably actually know a little more about. And we discussed this during like the murder and death one before.
Oh, yeah.
So, all of you may remember, if you saw that episode, you may have remembered me telling a story about an app that mysteriously led people to a suitcase full of human remains. I've actually remembered what the app's name was since then, but wouldn't you know it, I've forgotten again. So,
Does the app still exist, do you think?
I don't know, but what I do know is that, like, somehow the app was able to point them, like, this is an app used by tons of people, so obviously it couldn't have been a manually managed thing.
Yeah.
Like, if the app was only downloaded by, like, a handful of people, and this person just found a suitcase full of remains, you could be like, what if it's, like, an app manually run by the killer to point people towards, like, the people he's killed? It's like, no, that's not possible. People were using this thing all the damn time and finding... But here's the thing, they always found weird shit. Like,
yeah.
even when it wasn't, like, a suitcase full of remains, it still accurately led them to things, like...
Which is still really weird.
Like, a guy... Because, like, you have to put in the kind of thing you're looking for. Like, a kind of vibe, like something happy, something mysterious. So the guy put in something tasty, and it led him to a full-on can of Coca-Cola. Like,
I mean, shit, that's pretty tasty.
like, it just sitting there. Like, it wasn't in a machine or anything. No, the Coca-Cola
I
can
would not trust that. There's no way in hell I'm drinking it.
It was just sitting out in the middle of nowhere, just laying there. It's just standing perfectly upright, not opened.
That's weird. Man, shit like that is so creepy, though. Like, I definitely wouldn't be drinking that Coke, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, maybe don't do that, but, I'm trying to think of other stories I've heard from the community, because
There's the whole real Annabelle doll.
that's also... Oh, how about, hold on. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about one. Hold on. I'm trying to think of this one. I'm not really sure what to... I'm not really sure which one I'm trying to... Oh, I know. There's another person like me who's very, like... Who, like, watches over a lot of the community. And he actually has his own story to tell. So... Basically, he used to live in, like, a haunted house as a kid, and his spirit, his family simply called the woman in the kitchen. So, and the name came from the fact that they typically, you know, saw her in the kitchen.
Makes sense.
and I don't exactly remember how they described her, though I imagine they said she was, like, very, like, skinny and bony and, like, pale and had, like, long hair, raggy. But, like, he also told a story, like, and this is, like, showing that, like, not all ghosts are malicious. So, like, this guy has a story, it's like, he was trying to sleep, and the ghost was, like, knocking stuff over to, like, get his attention. It's like, he didn't want to look, because he didn't want to see it.
I mean, understandable.
But it got to the point where, like, so, like, to keep getting his attention, she kept knocking stuff over. And eventually it got to the point where he's like, alright, fuck this. And he looks, and what he sees is, like, the drapes by the window are, like, they appear to be, like, somehow, like, something by the window is, like, melting down the drapes. Like, I don't know if it was the drapes themselves that were melting, because I'm pretty sure that material burns and doesn't melt, because things melt or burn. They don't really do both. But,
True.
Something was melting by the window, whether it was the drapes or not is irrelevant, but he saw a glow through the window, and he went to look. The neighbor's house was on fire.
Oh!
So he, like, woke up his family and was like, hey, yo, the neighbor's house is on fire, we gotta go. And obviously they got out. Obviously officials showed up to subdue the fire and, like, review the premises. And he was actually told that it was good he woke up when he did, because typically, like, if he had waited too long, his family would have also gone with the fire.
Yeah.
So, like, according to him, like, the ghost was, like, knocking stuff, like, everyone was asleep. He knew this for a fact. And, like, the ghost was like knocking stuff over to get his attention and be like, "Hey, yo, dumbass, the neighbor's house is on fire."
I imagine if he would have died, the ghost would have beat the shit out of him. You dumb fuck. Well, like, not all of them are bad. It's still terrifying, but if
Like,
had that not happened, he would have been a ghost himself.
here's the thing. Like, she was obviously still like, at first she was still like scaring them,
Yeah.
and like, you know, you could argue that like originally she might have been malicious. Like, his theory was that she was originally trying to get him out, but she grew attached. But like, whether it's like I don't know, maybe she was just pranking them, and when their lives were actually in danger, she's like, "All right, get up, fucker."
Yeah.
But like,
That's crazy, though.
she like kept knocking shit over to get his attention, be like, "Hey, dumbass, the neighbor's house is on fire. Fucking get up and get out."
Yeah.
And like, it was like, and like, she eventually got him to notice and like get his family out.
Well, that's good then. This has been going on for a while. Did we want to end it here? Is there anything else we wanted to mention?
Well, I don't know. My buddy didn't really have a story, so I don't know.
Well, Nate, do you have anything?
No, not really.
I'm trying to think. Okay, I have a story that definitely wasn't supernatural, but for a good while I thought it was, until I proved it otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he knows this story, but, so, I was relatively young. I still had, like, if anyone's, like, a fan of our channels, they know I've moved around my house a lot in terms of, like, where I sleep and where my actual room is.
Mm-hmm.
So, this was back when I still had, like, my first room in this house. I was trying to, like, go to sleep. And I just heard from the other side, like, out of nowhere, I just heard, hey! I just heard that.
Oh, this one.
I heard, like, a whisper, hey. Like, first off, my eyes shot open and my heartbeat skyrocketed. I was still able to move, I just didn't want to.
It wasn't like sleep paralysis or anything.
No, I was still able to move, I just didn't want to. And,
understandable.
like, I was fearing for my life. My eyes were darting around the room to look for any possible figure that could have been here. Because, like, even though I wasn't as, like, even though I wasn't as quick to defend myself as I am now, I probably still, push come to shove, I would have tried to fight the thing.
Yeah.
So I was laying there, heart attack pounding, like, way too fast for someone of my size. I'm sitting there almost having a heart attack. I'm like, what is this? And then I just, like, I thought it was probably, like, some kind of ghost. And I'm like, what's going on here? But no. Turns out I then heard my mom whispering from the other side of my door to the cats that were by it. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Hey, I mean, like, that's better than it being something else, to be honest, so.
It was. It still, like, pretty much destroyed my night.
Yeah. I mean, I'd imagine.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Why did this happen?
Bro, that would have scared the shit out of me so bad.
I also have a story. I have no idea how to explain this one. I was reluctant to tell it because I wasn't, like, sure how anyone would really take hearing this. But I'm just gonna flat out say it. I think a ghost tried to assassinate me.
What?
Okay.
I was like, this was back when I was still in school, and I was walking to my bus stop, and it was a pretty long, like, tread. So I was, like, walking to the bus stop. All out of nowhere, I just hear a really loud pop. And naturally, when something like that happens, your first instinct is to look around and see, where's the danger?
Yeah.
So I look around. I don't see any signs of any living being. I look around, and then, like, obviously I didn't feel anything, so my next instinct was to look around the ground behind me to see if maybe someone tried to shoot at me so I could, like, I don't know, maybe I could see the bullet wedge into the ground if they missed.
Yeah.
I looked around. I didn't see any sort of impact with the ground. I didn't see anyone, like, standing by that, like, running away. So, like, for all I know, a ghost picked up, like, a piece of gravel and just chucked it at me trying to, like, assassinate me or some shit.
Hey, you never know.
Like, I also think maybe it could have just been someone messing with a firecracker on, like, the other side of their house.
True.
That's usually, like, it's kind of what I've accepted as being the reasonable explanation for what happened, but, like, I don't know. Somehow, for, like, a brief moment, I thought someone shot at me, and when
understandable?
and when I couldn't see who it was, I was like, okay, I'm just going. I gotta go.
I mean, understandable. I mean, maybe a ghost did try to assassinate you. You never know.
And, like, I would have absolutely been even more scared if it was in the dark. But no, this was like during the morning.
I kind of feel like it would be more scary if you saw the bullet on the ground. Because then you would know someone was shooting at you.
Oh yeah, if I saw a bullet, I would have booked.
Yeah.
But, like, that's what struck me as odd, is I tried looking around to see, like, what was someone doing? Like, I looked for someone first, and then when I didn't see anyone, I looked for, like, a possible cause of, like, looking around to see if something, and, like, obviously, like, if they, like, obviously, it, realistically speaking, it probably wouldn't have landed around my feet, even if it was, but, like, theoretically speaking, if
They'd had to be a bad shot.
But theoretically speaking, like, eventually someone would have probably figured out that, hey, there's a bullet, like, it would have whizzed past me and hit something else, so like, whoever's house I was by probably would have walked out and be like, there's a bullet in my wall.
Yeah, probably.
And something like that probably would have gotten reported. So, like, I don't think there was any form of gun involved in that situation. So, either, like, a ghost, like, really hard chucked something at me, or, you know, someone was very obvious, like, more reasonable, was probably just messing with some kind of firecracker on the other side of their house.
It is very mysterious, though.
But, like, here's the thing. I've had encounters that could seem paranormal, but were, in fact, probably not paranormal.
Yeah.
So I have a very unique specialist skill.
Yeah. It's called the almost ghost. Damn.
Welcome back to another installment of Ghost or Almost.
That'd be a good series. Oh god, my legs. Well, is there anything else we wanted to mention?
I think that's it.
I mean, theoretically, we have around, like, 7 minutes till we hit the hour mark, and, like, even though the supernatural is mainly, like, ghost stuff, what is arguably also supernatural is, like I said earlier, cryptids.
True. Like, the whole skinwalkers being the most popular right now.
Yeah. Like, cryptids are, like, they're not necessarily supernatural, but some of them kind of are, so, like,
Yeah.
they're, the whole point of a cryptid is that you can't prove their existence, so, like, and, like, typically the supernatural genre is applied when, like, they're in something.
Yeah.
So, I guess that's just kind of what I'll roll with, but, like, cryptids are a very interesting topic, because, like, just like ghosts, there's, like, nothing to really prove whether they exist or not.
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like there's a lot more, like, there's a lot more, like, photographical evidence of cryptids than there is ghosts, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, cryptids are more like, it's, like, more, like, photograph and, like, report-based.
But I feel like some of those are also a lot more easier to fake than ghosts.
Yeah, obviously with cryptids, you gotta, like, unlike ghosts where you have to, like, see what's happening before you can really make an option, you kind of have to go into a cryptid report with skepticism and maybe just be pleasantly surprised at for who knows what.
Yeah.
But like, what's different between ghosts is, well, okay, first off, apart from the heavy amounts of studying I'm gonna be due to write an encyclopedic Necronomicon aside, for the most part, ghosts usually behave pretty similarly. The reason cryptids differ is that they have, like, different abilities, different appearances, and, like, they span different areas of the world.
True.
And, like, you know, you got more Hispanic cultures with their chupacabra.
Yeah.
And you got, like, Americans with Bigfoot.
I feel like Japan has a lot of ghosts.
Oh, yeah, Japan has a lot of, like, weird mythos. It's like, you see, like, it's like, well, there's a difference between mythos and cryptids, but, like, there's a lot of, like, supposedly mythical creatures that they tell stories about, and it's like,
Yeah.
and it's like, you look and you see, like, what is all this? And it's like, cryptids, it's like, what do you do? What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, you know, you see grainy Bigfoot footage, and you're like, well, you know, obviously it could just be a dude in a suit.
Yeah.
But,
with, like, a Loch Ness Monster, could be just, like, a piece of wood, or, like, stuff like that. Sometimes stuff is very easy to fake.
Or just a giant catfish, or something like that. But it's like...
Or an elephant drowning.
But you also but then you also wonder, then, like, regardless of how dismissive you are of cryptids, everyone in their life has probably at least once thought of, but what if it wasn't fake?
Yeah. Like, that is heavily applied to ghosts, cryptids, and aliens, I think.
Yeah, those are like the three main things.
Yeah.
We already did aliens pretty heavily though, so
yeah, so we don't really need. I just figured I'd put that in right there. We don't. They kind of got their own thing already.
But like cryptids, it's like, it's so weird, especially since Bigfoot is the mascot of random stupidity.
Yeah. Also, I just want to kind of say thank you to anyone who tuned into the charity stream on the 11th. I know that has nothing to do with the podcast, to anyone listening. If any of y'all tuned in, thank you. The whole campaign raised over $7 million, and we raised 53 of those dollars.
Yeah, so we paid for about 20 bricks.
Yeah. Hey, that's $53 more than I thought we were gonna raise. So.
But yeah, you know, everyone has probably, like, seen some kind of cryptid and they're like, well, it's probably fake, but then also thought, but what if it wasn't?
Yeah.
And you know who's really good at you know what else is kind of like, there's like a special category of cryptids that are like mostly online, that, like, people have, like, debated, like, is it real or not?
Yeah.
And it's like, they're supernatural, but, like, they kind of get their own terms, so they're usually not associated, but they're basically cryptids.
Which are?
And that stuff like, well, first off, the one I'm thinking of I have one main group that I'm gonna save for last, but another one I kind of thought of on the spot was a Slender Man.
Oh, yeah, true.
Because obviously Slenderman's popularity spread on the internet, so everyone is like, he's probably just a conjurer of the internet, which is like,
something awful.
It's like, Slenderman just being a conjurer of the internet, it's probably true. Mm-hmm. But, like, you know, you've seen people, like, attempt to fake seeing him in real life, and you're like, I'm sure, like,
Slenderman stuff, especially nowadays, is so hard to believe just because of how much it's been on the internet.
No,
yeah.
What about the Rake?
The Rake is another decent one to point out, I guess.
I mean,
yeah.
Apparently he's been around since, well, I think like the 1600s or something.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Slenderman, obviously it's getting harder and harder. Like, initially it was hard to believe because it was just on the internet, and people started faking it in real life, and it's like, oh crap, is this real?
Yeah.
Then it kind of fell off because, like, Slenderman's just so popular on the internet, so people kind of just go in thinking it's fake.
And then Slenderman went and got his own movie, and now everyone's like, yeah,
It's
got a
not...
couple-
A lot of people have kind of just moved on
He
from
got a couple
Slenderman.
movies.
But, like...
Well, like an official movie that just sucked ass because Slenderman was in less than 2 minutes worth of that entire movie.
Yeah, why have a movie about a killer when the killer isn't even in it?
So yeah, Slenderman and that like obviously his popularity kind of started on the internet, but like theoretically speaking, still kind of like a cryptid.
Yeah.
Another one is obviously the Rake. The Rake is kind of like Slenderman. The Rake is considered a creepypasta, but unlike Slenderman, the Rake actually did originate as like a potential cryptid sighting.
Yeah.
And that was like, it was like this off-road kind of area. People like have reported like seeing him under like this house, or even reported waking up to him sitting by their bed and then bolting.
Can I just say the thought of that is just so fucking scary? Like, that'd be so terrifying.
But there's one man, like, despite these one kind of like my stories that I told, despite being like obviously like my personal stories I said were almost ghosts, these ones are like obviously fake. You know, there's no question they're fake as fuck. But a man who makes good cryptids is Trevor Henderson.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, hell.
Let's be realistic, and we're very glad that all of them are not real. Imagine seeing fucking Siren Head in real life.
I was thinking more of Longhorse.
Yeah, well, Longhorse isn't an evil entity.
Longhorse is friendly.
Yeah, but obviously there's Longhorse, Cartoon Cat, and like Siren Head. You know,
Those are like
Main-
three of his most popular
like
ones.
the main staples of Trevor's, lore. But like Trevor Henderson is also like, even though they're obviously like fake, they're not real. But like he still makes really good cryptids. And the thing is, despite like a lot of people like see one of those three or maybe someone else, and they like that's all they really know about Trevor Henderson's work. But if you do a deep dive in Trevor Henderson's like gallery, you'll see the man has made so many like cryptids.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites actually, because of how bizarre it is the Upside Down Man.
I know what you're talking about.
He's a man, for those of you unaware, the whole concept is that he's a man who shows up like when the aftermath of a disaster is being photographed. And the thing was, he was there to watch the disaster and during the photograph, but the thing is, he doesn't appear out of place in person. But after the photograph is taken and processed, you see the Upside Down Man. His head is upside down, smiling. He's like smiling, his head's upside down, and he's staring right at the cameraman every time.
That'd be pretty creepy.
You also have, that used to be a classic kind of story for ghosts as well. Like, we took this picture, looked back on it so long after, and then we found this ghostly figure in it. Like, people, maybe just don't go through your old photos.
Yeah.
Like, whether something was there or not, it's best you just don't even think about it and don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, there's Trevor Henderson also made like the Smile Room, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
God. The teeth.
The door with teeth.
That's my room, yeah, that's what it's called.
And then he posted like a new he posted like a new humanoid host.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the host of the Smile Room.
Oh yeah.
But he also makes a lot of ones that are very much like the Rake, like the Country Road Monster, or the one like It Followed Me Home.
Oh yeah, that's true. I'm gonna pull up Trevor Henderson while we're talking about this.
Yeah, you know what? Pull up his work. We can look through it while we're talking about this and talk about some of these. Another one that's actually pretty popular is Bridgeworms.
Oh yeah, I was trying to think of the name of that one.
Bridgeworms. They're like, so Bridgeworms are like these. Well, obviously they look like worms, but like they're like worms with very skinny arms and they have like these frail like timid-looking faces, and they like peer out from under bridges, and they're pretty big. And that's all we really thought they looked like until Trevor Henderson dropped a picture of one attacking someone with the skin of its face peeled back, revealing some monstrous freaking mutant face.
Oh, this image has always terrified me to shit.
Oh
This is
yeah.
one of his.
Oh yeah. Here's another random one he's made. It's a decayed man head on a deer.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's pull up some other ones.
Oh, I know one that's a newer one he made that's kind of gained a lot of popularity because of the image itself and the story.
Oh yeah.
A being of lonely. Okay, so like a basically abandoned truck stop, an abandoned hunting spot. The angry, wasted remains of dead animals has like formed one being. It's like all like spiked bones and everything.
Yeah. And the thing about Trevor Henderson is like, until you look at it too hard, it's like, it seems semi-believable. Like, obviously, if you look too hard, you can see like where it's like kind of like, water brushed in, or however.
They're still really well done.
But like, still, like, when you just look at it initially and you don't have time to like look at the finer details, it's like, Jesus.
Oh god, look at this one of all of them together.
Yeah, there's one of all of them together. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to like edit it in for
Well,
you.
probably one of them's in like the thumbnail or something. Something like that.
Yeah, but
Let's see.
but like
This hold on.
But yeah,
Big Charlie is another one that he has. Hold
Yeah.
on.
but like Trevor Henderson makes good cryptids, despite the fact that they're like obviously not.
Yeah, this one. It's another roadside thing.
Despite the fact that Trevor Henderson's cryptids are like obviously fake, but like they're still very interesting as like on the topic of supernaturality.
Yeah. It's all very terrifying.
Here, let's pull up some pictures for Nathaniel to look at.
Alright.
Hold on.
I think I heard of Big Charlie.
Oh, this is one of his more famous ones. The baby in the closet.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. It's like this. It's like. See, I used to have a very easy comparison for this guy, but since the creator of the series I would reference is kind of like fallen under due to some bad actions, I can't really make that reference anymore.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
But yeah, the thing is like one big head on like a spinal cord with legs.
Yeah.
What's this? Just a creepy figure crawling out of the dark. Oh, this is the It Followed Me Home.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
It's like a head on a torso held up by two giant arms and like
Hey, there's
no legs.
one thing I want to pull up.
That's the Country Road one.
It looks like...
It looks like the Rake, but just super noodle limbs. Super long noodle limbs. It's like, there's so like, Trevor Henderson makes like some of the best cryptids. Is like, despite the fact they're obviously fake, unlike Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, which you could argue may have somehow existed at least at some point. Obviously Trevor's is fake, but like, he still makes really good ones. And as a topic of supernatural, they're still really great.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's about it for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I guess that's really all there is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So,
Well, that was...
That was something.
yeah. Well, thank you guys for tuning into the Dumbass Podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
bye.
Bye.